Jim, welcome. How are you?
It is icy cold here as well, Michael. 11 degrees when we left the hotel this morning, and that's just peeling off the tarp here at Arrowhead, and the field is frozen. So it's, I tell you, when you get a cold game at Kansas City, it's for some reason, it's raw here more than just about any place I've ever been in the league.
I agree. It is a cold setting. It's a cold field. I agree. I think that will impact your game today, that and the bone-jarring Kansas City defense. And I'll tell you something. I don't know how you found the Chiefs, Jim, but I felt that they lost last week, but I thought they answered some questions in the defeat that they were not far away, and they would relish the rematch. I thought they gained some things and maybe even could take some big positives out of that game last week.
I don't think there's any question. I think a lot of people thought there would be a romp in Denver, and they came out of there thinking, you know what, we can beat them at our place. And they had some possessions late in the game to really trim that thing to a one-score game. Didn't get it done, but I think they took a whole lot of positives out of that. Now, the one thing is how much, and it's hard to tell, but how much are they already thinking about the rematch game? This is the classic sandwich trap game right here. You've got a team that's coming off a game that had all this buildup, and you lose it, and you get a chance to go at them again just another couple of weeks later. And right in between, you've got a division foe.
I think that's the key, though. I think that's the key. If it were not a division team, I really think today would be the classic trap game. But I think since it is a division team, I think you keep your eye on the ball. And I think there's enough history there with these teams that happens. Plus, you know, I just think their defense is so consistently good that it really, you know, allows them to be tougher today. Plus, I like this matchup because I think they have the kind of defense that can really press everything San Diego does. And Rivers is a guy who likes to fit the ball in, and he likes to fit the ball into tight spots, and he's not a real driller of the ball. He's kind of what they call a window thrower, and he places the ball in there, and I think it's going to be hard for him to find open receivers today against that Kansas City defense.
That Kansas City defense, though, the last three games has gone pretty silent. You know, they haven't been getting to the quarterback like they did the first 7 weeks of the season. They had 35 sacks through 7 weeks, which was 10 more than any other team. They haven't hit a quarterback now in 2 weeks. They've had 1 sack in the last 3 games, but you know, I got to think that today there's some offensive line issues, actually on both sides, but particularly on San Diego. It's a constant shuffle for them. And they got to move the rookie Fluker from right tackle to left tackle. And when you got Holly and you got Houston on the other side, that's the leading combo in the league. And you combine that with this home crowd. This defense just feeds off this home energy. It's a pretty powerful thing. And,
I agree.
You know, again, next week I'm going to be here for that rematch game. That'll be our national doubleheader game when Denver comes back to town here. And, you know, there'll be a whole lot on the line again next week when these two meet, because that'll be for, you know, Denver can pretty much, you know, sweep it. If they would sweep it, they would pretty much lock up the division, you'd have to think.
But let's say if the Pats win tonight, Pats win tonight and Kansas City wins today, that game can't get any bigger next week.
No, it's enormous. And you know, I really agree that Kansas City comes back from Denver and says, you know what, I think given home field, we have a real shot at being able to play with them and beat them.
I agree, and plus I think today they know San Diego's had some games this year, even their game against the Colts, where they just dominated with their running game. And I think today the Chiefs are going to say, you know what, you're not running it on us. You want to see if you can pass it, go ahead, but we're going to come up, we're going to play the run. You are going to have to throw it today, because San Diego's had some games like the Indianapolis game where they just ran the ball and got away with it and did a very good job of doing it.
A nice little surprise for the Chargers this year. There's been a couple of them. First off, I like this Mike McCoy and his staff here with Wiz and Hunt on one side and John Pagano, a coordinator, on the other side. But Ryan Matthews, who was looking like a bust for a long time, is pretty feisty now.
Yeah, he's had a good year.
Yeah, he had another 100-yard performance last week. He's had 3 of them this season. And the other find that they had was this kid out of Cal, blown out his knee his senior year, so kind of was under the radar come draft time, and he fell all the way to the third round. Keenan Allen, he leads all rookies in receiving yardage, and they've got some weapons. And watch out for this backup to Antonio Gates, Ladarius Green, caught 4 balls last week for 80 yards. He's an impressive talent on the field, tremendous speed and size. And when they have him on the field at the same time as Gates, that's a hard team to cover.
Yep. San Diego has the same problems that a lot of teams have, is that they move the ball. They have trouble finishing drives. I mean, they really have trouble in the red zone. I mean, they leave so many points on the field, and that's really – they're a very good 4-6 team, though. I think they're a dangerous team today, no question. Let me get to the other game, though, quickly. Tonight, you spend as much time around Denver and New England as anybody. What's your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, I've kind of vacillated back and forth on who I think will win the game. I've been thinking Denver all week, but as we approach game time, I'm starting to think that New England, this kind of setting, on this kind of night, November, so much riding on it. Belichick and Brady usually find a way, but who knows? I think Denver's the best team in football. The Welker thing coming back, off a
big factor.
So big story there.
Big factor, and they have to be able to cover them. It's going to be fascinating to see because that's going to be that's going to stick in the craw of the Pats, and they don't want Welker to come in there and abuse them, and he can.
See, that's the biggest thing this game boils down to, is the health. We already know that New England's been decimated defensively with injuries, but if they don't have Talib tonight, or he's not even able to really give it anywhere close to 100%. And they don't have Dennard. I mean, they need everybody they can possibly come up with against all those weapons from Denver. So to me, that's what the game boils down to, are those matchups with New England and its secondary, which has issues. Some of these we won't even know till 90 minutes before game time. And Welker coming back, Welker off that concussion so soon back to the field, it's a huge boost for them.